At Coors Field in Denver, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets play the Colorado Rockies. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Visit the Hyundai Labor Day sales event for incredible deals on the 2015 Hyundai Sonata. By Verizon Fios. Now there's a totally new way to customize your TV only from Verizon Fios. By the Honda Summer Clearance Event. By Royal Caribbean. The only way to Caribbean is with Royal Caribbean. By Cigna, together all the way. And by the Volkswagen Model Year-End Sales Event. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Denver. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez joins me in just a moment as the Mets wrap up their three-game series against the Rockies, and what a series it's been. The Mets had never played a 14-9 game in their history. Well, they played two of them the last 2 days. Friday night, it was the YN show. He hit a grand slam to give the Mets an early 7-1 lead. That was in the second inning. In the fourth inning, he slugged a solo home run, and then after the Rockies had tied the game at 8, he hit a 2-run homer to put the Mets in front to stay. 3 home runs, 5 hits, 7 runs batted in, 5 runs scored. An historic night for Cespedes, and the Mets won 14-9. Last night, tie game, third inning. Juan Uribe parks one of the Rockies' bullpen to put the Mets in front. That was their only home run of the night, but the hits just kept on coming. The Mets had 9 doubles last night, and in that third inning when they scored 8 runs, 9 men came to bat and reached base before a single out was recorded. You saw John Neese even contributed a 2-run single. Juan Lagares had a big night with 3 hits. Curtis Granderson had a couple of doubles last night. The Mets had plenty of offense. They built a 14-3 lead. The Rockies made a comeback, but the Mets held on after the second straight day, won 14-9, and the rally parakeet could not have been more happy. What an incredible offensive series this has been.
Well, it is. Both teams have got to play in the same ballpark, and the Mets have just been pounding the baseball. And I tell you what, there hasn't been a cheap hit. As you look at those numbers right there, there's not a cheap hit in there. They've been hitting the ball, I mean, on the screws the entire first 2 games of this series. I actually felt very sorry for the starting pitcher last night, Russin. I've never saw a pitcher take a beating like that, and he was left out there to hang dry, and finally didn't finish the inning. But you know what? The Mets are doing what they have to do. They're playing the second division teams, these last place teams we talked about. Well, Colorado now, they've won the first 6 here. They're going for a seasonal sweep. And those are the things you have to do if you're going to win a division.
Mets have never swept a series at Coors Field, which is now in its 21st season. They'll try and do that today, but they'll do it without Matt Harvey. They're skipping Matt today, and Logan Verrett takes the start.
Well, Verrett has done a great job for this ball club in 7 relief appearances, given up only 1 run. This is his first start for the rookie. Terry Collins has had to use the back end of his bullpen the last 2 games. I'm sure that Terry would like to not use the Familia and Clipper today. Looking hopefully to get 5 or 6 innings out of this young man here. Tall order here for this ballpark. We've seen what goes on in this yard. I've never seen the ball carry so much as it has so far in this series in Coors Field.
And for the Rockies, the former Atlanta Brave David Hale, who's had an injury-interrupted season.
Well, he was penciled in to be in the rotation, had an oblique injury in spring, didn't start the season until late May, had 9 starts, then pulled his groin. He's come back now. He had 1 start off the injury, got shellacked by the Nationals. Mets are looking to keep it rolling today, and if not build on the 5-game lead, at least maintain it.
So the Mets finish up their series in the Rockies before heading back east to play the Phillies tomorrow night. It's the Mets and Rockies, all the action coming your way on Pix 11. Shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. Get to Citi Field this Friday, August 28th, when the Mets take on the Red Sox at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets NY logo T-shirt courtesy of Pepsi. For tickets, visit Mets.com/free shirt Fridays. Which brings us to the themes of the game, brought to you by your Hyundai Labor Day sales event.
And I promise to be concise, folks. The way the offense has gone, we're going to go directional here. The Mets have been pounding home runs. Unbelievable what they've done here in the first two games. Look at the runs and hits. That does not lie, both teams. This is a Coors Field, folks. And Logan Verrett and David Hale. Well, there's the two jokers in the deck right there. We'll see how that turns out today.
Rockies brought up a couple of relievers today to try and provide reinforcement. We'll see if that helps stem the tide. Mets and Rockies in the foothills. First pitch is coming up. Ball at bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or a tablet. Your Mets starting lineup brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. The Mets lineup will have a different look tomorrow because the captain's returning. David Wright will rejoin the Mets in Philadelphia tomorrow. But for today, it's Cespedes in the two-hole, Murphy playing first base with Duda on the DL, and Uribe holding down third for one more day.
And there's today's starter, David Hale, the former Brave, attended Princeton University, and he has not had a good year. Those numbers are pretty much tell you what's going on. He doesn't walk people, but he's given up way too many hits. Lots of home runs.
Curtis Granderson leads things off, 5 for 10 in the series, takes the first pitch for a strike, and we're underway. Curtis, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs in the first 2 games. Everybody's gotten healthy on this road trip. Granderson 8 for 17 on the trip that began in Baltimore. And he takes outside from Hale, a ball and a strike. Mets have seen David Hale before. His 5th career game, his 3rd career start against the Mets, all his prior outings as an Atlanta Brave. And he misses away to Granderson, 2-1. Hale came over in a deal for a couple of minor leaguers in January, along with the reliever Gus Schlosser, who has not been in the big leagues this year, which means we haven't had to pronounce his name even once. 2-1 to Granderson is taken inside, and Hale behind 3-1. Second start back from the DL for Hale, who faced the Nationals here on Tuesday, gave up 6 runs in 5 innings through 105 pitches. And Granderson takes a strike, 3-2. Cespedes and Murphy to follow for the Mets, who have scored 14 runs in back-to-back games before, but have never had 3 straight games of double-digit runs. That's what they're going for today. And there's ball 4, and Granderson gets us started with his 62nd walk of the year.
And we'll take a quick look at the Rocky defense, brought to you by Kia. Sign it and drive it sales event. Same outfield as last night, the all-star in right field and center field.
Descalzo gets the start at shortstop, first start against the Mets this year, and Garneau again will get a start. Not again. He relieved Nick Hundley last night in that slugfest.
Hundley got hit in the mask and was a little woozy, and so came out in the middle of that game. Here's Cespedes, 7 for 12 in the series. He's driven in 8 runs in the series.
Well, why he's hitting second is beyond me. I'm still not sold on the sabermetrics that the number 2 hole provides the most opportunities to drive in runs. I'm open to it, but I haven't seen it yet.
And the curveball from Hale drops in for a strike, 1-1. Cespedes now with 23 home runs, 77 runs driven in, 75 runs scored. This is now his 20th game as a Met, and he has made a huge impact. The Mets, since the arrival of the newcomers, Johnson and Uribe, followed by Cespedes, you can throw Michael Conforto into that mix, are leading the National League in runs scored. In fact, they were before this series began, now even more emphatically so, with 28 runs in the last 2 games. Daniel Murphy waiting on deck. 3 infielders on the left side against Cespedes. And he takes one foul off to the right, 1-2. Well, the Mets were dead last in the National League in runs scored until they made those acquisitions. They picked up Johnson and Uribe from the Braves. A week later, they picked up Cespedes, and since then, they're number 1 in the National League in runs scored. It's quite a turnaround.
They've been hitting home runs of late too, and I know that's another thing that they look for. But
18 home runs in the last 9 games.
But they've just been pounding the baseball. I mean, you come here to Coors Field, you want to come here red hot because you can really feast in this high altitude.
Well, it's been a particularly Coors Field-ish kind of series. They don't have games like that here that often. It used to be before they had the humidor and when the baseballs were rock hard and wound tight, and back in the steroid era, all those things combined back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you would routinely have scores in double digits. It's not quite as common anymore.
A lot has to do with this pitching staff from the Rockies, which is last in ERA, well over 5.
On the other hand, the Mets have given up 18 runs in these 2 games, so they're complicit too. Cespedes with a long turn at bat. Our friend Nick Groke, who writes for the Denver Post, in his story on the game last night, referred to this weekend as bananas baseball. And I think that says it best. It's really it's a mutation of what you expect baseball to be.
Well, we've talked about it the whole series about they got to do something to level the playing field for give the pitcher a chance.
There goes Granderson. Cespedes waves at it. The throw to second not in time. Granderson has his 11th stolen base as Cespedes strikes out for the first out.
Chased the slider right there, almost got in the way of the catcher. He ducked. Good jump by Curtis. And Curtis may be saving. He hasn't stolen a lot of bases this year. That's his 11th stolen base, as Gary said. Maybe the veteran is saving it for the stretch run.
So the Mets have a runner in scoring position. And Daniel Murphy didn't play last night. 1 for 4 in the series. He drives one to center field deep. Back goes Blackman near the wall, and it's off the base of the fence. Granderson around third. He'll come in to score the first run of the game. Murphy pulls in with an RBI double, and the Mets are off and running again, leading 1-0. 27th double of the year for Daniel Murphy.
First pitch. Down and in. Blackman got not a great jump on this ball. But as you said, Gary, here you go again.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. And the Mets are now 17 for 32 with runners in scoring position in this series. Just crazy numbers.
Yes.
So now Juan Uribe, who gave the Mets the lead last night for good with his 13th home run of the year. He's 3 for 7 in the series with 2 doubles and a home run. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Uribe starting tomorrow when David Wright comes back. The feeling is that David's going to be able to play 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. So Uribe will get a start here and there at third base.
Well, Terry has already shown that has the ability, he knows how to manage and move people in and out of the lineup. He hasn't had a set lineup in quite a while since the trade deadline. He's been using all of his bench, mixing them in, mixing and matching really well. Wright just gives him another wonderful piece.
Well, I mean, Davis is going to play. When he's able to play, he'll be in the lineup. The question is, how much will his back condition keep him from being in the lineup every day? And so if you have a guy like Uribe, who's provided some tremendous power for the Mets since coming over from Atlanta, you'd like to see a way to get them both in the lineup at the same time. And Terry was talking about that this morning, how to get Uribe in there when Wright is playing. Low and in, and it's 3-1. Oh, he went around on the half swing. Manny Gonzalez with the call, 2-2. And they approached Uribe about playing first base, which he's done only a handful of games in his career, and he said he's really not comfortable with that. Remember that he came up as a shortstop, and there's a chance that maybe you might see him a little bit at shortstop, but they're still trying to figure all that out. Murphy at second and 1 out, 2-2 to Uribe, and he swings and misses at the breaking ball, so Hale has his second strikeout of the inning.
Well, I think the most important thing about Uribe is he chases this bad slider right here, much like Cespedes did prior. Is that he's of the guys he's brought here, Sandy Alderson, Uribe's got the most devastating bat, power bat. They want to keep him more than any of the guys that are being in and out of the lineup. They want to keep him in a groove as much as they can. The problem is he can only play third base.
Kelly Johnson getting a start at second base today, 3 for 5 in this series, and he goes after the changeup. 0-1. Kelly playing his 20th game as a Met, 224 since coming over in the trade with a couple of home runs. And right now it's so difficult for Terry on a daily basis to figure out who to play. For instance, Ruben Tejada had a great game last night, offensively and particularly defensively. But as Terry said, I got to go with my best offensive lineup when I can, and that meant playing Johnson today rather than Tejada. 1-2 to Kelly. Wilmer Flores playing shortstop today. He's on deck.
Yeah, I think this ballpark factors into that decision. Also going to another ballpark in Philadelphia, which is a bandbox. So Terry's probably going to stick with a hitter's lineup there too.
Johnson fouls one back. Well, Citizens Bank Park's going to feel like a pitcher's haven after the weekend here.
I have not seen the ball. This is how I remember Mile High when I was 19-20 in AAA and hitting at Mile High Stadium. How it's jumped off the bat in these first two games is how it did back in 1973-74.
When nobody had heard about a humidor.
Right, and it's still only a mile high. It hasn't elevated. There's been no geological movement,
no phenomenon.
Teutonic plates moving.
2-2 to Johnson. And Kelly goes down swinging on the foul tip. So Hale has 3 strikeouts in the inning, but the Mets cash a run on Murphy's RBI double and hand it off to Logan Verrett with a 1-0 lead. getting us pictures of rocks and mountains and
beautiful
forests. They had their cameras out in the woods looking for all the best scenery. A lot of Met fans have made their way to Denver this weekend. Had a huge contingent here last night. Starting lineup for the Rockies, brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. No Jose Reyes tonight after some very interesting comments that Jose made in the Denver paper today. I wonder whether his benching today is connected with that. Dustin Garneau gets a second major league start behind the plate. Daniel Descalso a spot started short, and there's Logan Verrett, his first big league start after 11 relief outings.
Well, things didn't fare well for him earlier in the year, which with Texas, where he went 0-1 in 4 relief appearances and an ERA of 6. But his numbers with the Mets have been outstanding. 7 relief appearances, as I said in the open. My horrible open, by the way. 13 in the 3rd innings, only giving up 1 run. So this is his first start for the rookie.
I heard they were thinking of submitting that for an Emmy.
Let me tell you, I am so embarrassed. I apologize, folks.
It was Matt Harvey getting the start off today. Charlie Blackmon leads off. Mets put on the shift against him, and he bluffs a bunt. Flores alone on the left side as the Mets overlap Uribe to the right side of the diamond.
And you see the defense right there, that triangle.
Blackmon 4 for 9 in the series, and he cracks one to center. Cespedes cutting over. He has to short hop it, then does the somersault and holds Blackmon to a single. Even when he doesn't make the play, Cespedes borders on the spectacular.
Fairly athletic here, don't you think? Ball just sunk on him. Oh, I'll tell you what, that was trouble. Doesn't make the play. Beautifully done. Got to put him on a trampoline or on a floor mat.
Ready to try out for the Cuban gymnastics team. That was outstanding. So Blackmon aboard with a leadoff hit, and now Verrett's got to pay attention to him as you watch that saving play, because if that ball gets by him, it's easily a triple and maybe an inside the park home run. Blackmon 33 stolen bases. He's had some ill-advised base running in this series. DJ LeMahieu takes a strike. Blackmon in the first inning of each of the first 2 games has gotten on base and found his way off base. He was picked off first by Colon on Friday night in the first inning, and then took off too early in a stolen base attempt of third, and John Neese threw him out in last night's game. So it would pay Blackmon to be a little more wary as Verrett throws over. Blackmon has 2 stolen bases in this series, but they came in less than first-class situations on Friday night. Let's put it that way.
It's been a little bit of everything in this series. Kind of hard. How often do you have 2 of the same scores with slugfest? 14-9 back-to-back.
And for the Mets, who've played well over 8,000 games, a score that they'd never had before, ever, on the front end or the short end. And they win 2 in a row by that same score.
Yep. Well, there's never been back-to-back 14 runs given up by the Rockies in their history. That's a first. A lot of firsts.
DJ LeMahieu starts the day, 6th in the National League in batting at .313. 2 for 10 in this series, and Brett paying plenty of attention to Blackmon at first base. Carlos Gonzalez waits on deck. Blackmon with a healthy lead. And LeMahieu fouls one away, 1-2.
Interesting how the Cardinals have started out that road trip, losing the first 2 in San Diego. And the Pirates are suddenly 3.5 behind the Cardinals. That race has tightened up. They're winning today. That's early.
Off to a fast start in San Diego. 1-2 to LeMahieu. It's been a long and winding road for Logan Verrett to find his way to his first big league start for the Mets. 3rd round pick by the Mets in 2011 out of Baylor. but then was taken in the Rule 5 draft last winter by the Orioles. He spent all of spring training with Baltimore. They couldn't keep him, put him on waivers, claimed by Texas, made his debut with Texas in April, and then they waived him, and he found his way back to the Mets. Made his Mets debut in June in Toronto. Was sent down a month later when he probably should not have been because of roster considerations. And now was called back, made an appearance in Baltimore on Wednesday, worked a 1-2-3 inning, and now with Matt Harvey being skipped, gets his first big league start. Now he had been starting games in Vegas, 9 starts in AAA this year, and he's done well in the Pacific Coast League, and that probably prepares you better than anything for pitching at this altitude.
33 stolen bases for Blackmon on the season.
But he's been caught 13 times now, and so his stolen base percentage is not great. Barrett paying him plenty of mind as he works on LeMahieu with Cargo on deck. And LeMahieu bangs one into center for a base hit. Blackmon will stop at second. And so back-to-back base hits to start the Rockies' first inning against Verrett.
Another breaking ball. Got it down and in a good spot. Just good hitting by LeMahieu.
It's 137 hits now for DJ LeMahieu. He's had a terrific year. So the table set for Carlos Gonzalez. Cargo 4 for 9 in the series with a double and a home run. 6th in the National League with that .540 slugging percentage. So an early crisis for Verrett to deal with, working with a 1-0 lead.
It's not how he wanted it to start. He's a very deliberate pitcher, very slow worker. He's taking his time.
Logan's 25 years old. The 9th starting pitcher the Mets have used this season. And the breaking ball misses to Gonzalez. Blackmon at second, LeMahieu at first, and nobody out. And he runs the fastball inside. Now he's behind 2-0. Mets begin the day with a 5-game lead over the Nationals, who are leading in the bottom of the 8th over Milwaukee today, 9-5. All of a sudden, Anthony Rendon is getting hot, homered for the 2nd straight day. Looks like the Nats might be finding their bearings offensively a little bit. Verrett behind 2-0. And Cargo takes a strike on the outside, 2-1.
Cargo just wants everything middle in, and all he's trying to do is hit home runs. He's a young man that has such a beautiful swing. I know we got off to the bad start, but I just think he's just trying to hit home runs, and he could be a 330 hitter.
Nolan Arenado on deck. And Cargo taps one slowly, and that'll go foul. 2-2.
And we'll take a look at your first place Metsies defense, brought to you by Kia. Sign it and drive it sales event. Cespedes in center field. Conforto back in the lineup in left. Flores, we talked, offense, playing shortstop. Kelly Johnson in the lineup. Recker giving Darno a rest. Darno caught both those 14-9 ball games, first 2 games of the series.
Conforto in left. You mean Conforto the cat? 9 lives.
Oh boy, he's ready to go down twice.
At least.
Well, he's got 7 lives left.
Hopefully he'll never go down again. Conversation at the mound. Well, Conforto was actually optioned for a day. Remember when the Mets got Cespedes, but then Neuenhuis got hurt, and so he actually never left town.
Right.
And he came back to the ball club. And then he was all set to go down with the Mets set to adding a reliever yesterday, but then Duda got hurt, and that saved him again. And so here he is. Hit a home run here on Friday night and gets another start today. Mets will have to make a move tomorrow to make room for Wright. 2-2 to Gonzalez. That's pulled down to first. Murphy gets it to Flores for 1. Verrett covering in time for the 3-6-1 double play. Beautifully executed. 2 men down.
Well, these are one of the fundies that you practice a lot in spring training, and you have to, because it's a pitcher's best friend, and that is a well executed 3-6-1 DP. Very nice. Barrett right off the mound. Murph gives the perfect feed to Flores. Nice stretch.
You know, I always feel that's such a hard play for a pitcher to find the bag and then make the turn to accept the throw from second base.
Agreed.
And Verrett didn't even look, but was able to feel for the bag and got his foot there. So Blackman now at third with 2 out. Here's Arenado, who's 4 for 9 in this series with 2 doubles, a homer, and 5 RBIs in the 2 games. Arenado leading the National League, or actually second in the National League right now with 92 runs batted in. Also second in home runs, second in doubles, second in extra base hits. You get the idea. He's having a fantastic year at age 24.
Nice breaking ball right there. A double play seemed to loosen up Verrett.
That slider, since he's been in the big leagues, has been his best pitch.
Good one right there. Completely fooled Arenado. Let me ask you a question, Gary. What do you think? Your opinion. If you're a 280 hitter playing 81 games here, what are you really if you played 162 at sea level?
Probably 260.
Okay. You think 20 points?
At least.
Okay, I think more.
Ground ball toward the middle. Flores with a diving stop. Can he throw him out? He does. Side retired. Wilmer Flores with a sparkling play to save a run. El Tejada had a great defensive night last night, and Flores equals him with that play. That keeps a run off the board, and the Mets lead it 1-0 after 1 in Denver. League starter gave up a couple of hits, got a couple of nice defensive plays behind him, and the Mets take a 1-0 lead into the second. Wilmer Flores, who made the nice defensive play to end the inning, leads off the next inning, which happens right around 1/9 of the time.
Really?
That the guy who makes the great play leads off the next inning.
Okay, that's a statistic I don't really care about, but it's interesting.
Announcers always say that the guy who makes the great play always leads off the next inning, but in truth it happens 1/9 of the time.
Okay. Yeah,
you understand?
absolutely, yes.
So just want to make sure you got the reference. And Flores, thrown behind, gets hit on the leg, and he'll go to first base. A very errant pitch by David Hale.
I don't think there was any intent there. But 30 years ago, after 28 runs in 2 games,
yep, Well,
you might have thought differently.
You know, you talked about it last night that with all the hits in this series, and there were 64 of them in the first 2 games, that nobody really got dusted off. So we'll see what happens from here. Here's Conforto in a home run on Friday night, his 3rd big league home run, and he grounds one toward the hole, base hit. Flores will go first to 3rd. Cargo with the long throw across the diamond, not in time, and it skips on by, and down to second base goes Conforto. Flores holds at 3rd, and the Mets have 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. Well, Cargo had no chance to throw out Flores at 3rd base, but he airmailed the throw, and the Mets get an extra base out of it.
Well, we've seen this kind of play, and overshooting the cutoff man, everything wrong there, no shot. We've seen some lackadaisical play from Reyes. We don't know, he's not in the lineup today. Jose certainly hasn't been hustling in this series, and it just smells of a demoralized last place team.
Well, we talked about it right at the outset of this series. Mets are playing 13 straight games against last place teams. This is the 3rd of those 13. Terry Collins is out to talk to the home plate umpire Philden Colbreth. He may be arguing that that ball went out of play, in which case Flores would be entitled to home plate.
Well, too bad it's not in the 7th inning, and already Terry lost the challenge.
Because then you could have a crew chief review.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is actually a reviewable play.
I'm not sure either.
And Terry gets clarification from Colbreth. So it scored a single, then an error on Gonzalez, moving Conforto to 2nd. So Anthony Recker gets a crack with 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Mets are set up for another big inning.
Recker making his 2nd start since returning from a stint in the minor leagues. He started 9 days ago against the Pirates and broke a long 0-for. And he takes one in the dirt. That gets away, and here comes Flores with the Mets' 2nd run.
Wow.
Now they didn't get the run on Cargo's overthrow. Instead, they get it on Hale's wild pitch, and it's 2-0 New York.
Please don't expand anymore, Commissioner. At least for another 50 years.
You know, there hasn't been expansion in 17 years.
Still hasn't caught up. Definitely some dreck running around.
So the Mets have a 2-0 lead. Conforto at 3rd and nobody out. The infield comes halfway in against Recker. And that gets away, and here comes Conforto. Back-to-back wild pitches, and it's 3-0 New York. And the natives are a little bit restless here in Denver. And you can certainly understand why.
Oh, my Lord. So Garneau, that's just bad. Box it and send me a dozen.
You got to get down and block that ball.
That's a little, nope, that's not going to cut it. You get a start and got to be, oh my goodness. Oh, well.
So back-to-back wild pitches score a couple of runs. Now Recker takes a strike. That's a quick way to clear the bases. First 2 pitches of an at-bat. There goes the RBI opportunity for Anthony.
Darn.
Just have to drive himself in. And now Hale behind him, 3-1. So David Hale having nothing come easily to him. He walked his first batter of the game. He's hit a batter. He's thrown 2 wild pitches. And now he's 3 runs behind in the 2nd inning with nobody out. And Recker chops one off the plate, and that'll go foul. 3-2. That's the 7th time in this series. So we're talking about 19 innings. 7 times in 19 innings that the Mets have scored more than 1 run. Wow.
Well, you know what? No sympathy. You're driving hard for a division, and it looks like you're going to have to win a division to get to the playoffs. It looks like both wild cards. You never know what the Giants are making a run right now.
There's ball 4 to Recker. 2nd walk by Hale.
So you know what? You just no sympathy. You just got to beat up on these teams.
I don't think anybody was suggesting that sympathy was an option. As a matter of fact, when you talked about Chris Russin in the open today, that's more sympathy than I've ever heard you express for
towards a pitcher
too. Yeah.
But that was just an awful beating last night. Oh. No one wishes that on that. Not on your worst enemy.
Well, give Russin and John Gray, who started on Friday night, credit. They both had the right things to say.
They certainly did. They stood up and just said they got the ball up. They didn't locate. And at this ballpark, if you do that, you're asking for trouble. I thought it was very admirable.
So now Logan Verrett will be asked to bunt. 0 for 1 in the big leagues. 5 for 56 in his minor league career. And he has a 3-0 lead in his first big league start. It's over in D.C. The Nats beat the Brewers for the second straight day, 9-5. Home runs by Wilson Ramos and Anthony Rendon. So the Mets need to win to stay 5 games in front. And that's off the plate. A ball and a strike to Verrett. Bunted foul right at home plate. 1-2. That was almost a fair ball.
Almost, and that would have been could have been a triple play. Think about it.
There's only one runner on base. Otherwise, you're right.
I'm seeing double today. I thought they could have sworn there was 2 men on base.
It's the thin air, I'm telling you.
Darn.
They'll be asked to bunt with 2 strikes, and that one skips away from Garneau and down to second base. Goes Recker. The 3rd wild pitch of the inning. This is just a nightmare for this Colorado pitching staff.
Wow, one thing. It's not one thing, it's another.
Well, that one, Garneau couldn't have done much else.
You know what they say, though, Garrett, in my defense? They say the added sulfates in the wine can cause double vision.
Well, you know what the answer to that is, don't you? That's strike 3 as Verrett fouls it off. Stop drinking the wine. So that's the 4th strikeout for Hill. All 4 outs he's recorded in this game have been on strikeouts, but he's walked 2, hit a batter, and thrown 3 wild pitches in an inning and a third.
Wow.
By the way, the Nats, after that win today, they get tomorrow off. Then they host San Diego Tuesday night, while the Mets begin their series in Philadelphia tomorrow. Here's Granderson, who walked, stole a base, and scored a run. He flies one down the left field line, and that'll go foul.
Well, it looks like the Mets are going to have to win to keep that 5-game bulge in the National League East. It's a final in Washington.
Recker at second and 1 out. And the off-speed pitch by Hale. That's the best changeup he's thrown so far.
And 3 runs is not enough.
No. We've certainly learned that in this series, if we didn't know it before, in this ballpark. Last night it seemed like an 11-run lead might not be enough. I mean, the Mets were up 14-3 last night, and then the Rockies scored 6 unanswered runs and still had the last 2 innings to play with. But the Mets went to Clippard and Familia and stemmed the tide and got themselves through the game. Taken the other way toward the line, foul ball.
Well, the Mets got shut out the last 4 innings. They kind of dropped it down a gear, but 14 was enough.
Well, we talked last night in the late innings about the Mets bullpen usage and whether Terry would want to stay away from Clippard and Familia, particularly Familia. He had Robles up alongside Familia in the 9th inning. Terry told me today that if they'd scored 1 more run in the top of the 9th, he would have gone with Robles rather than Familia. And there's another strikeout for Hale, his 5th. But in Terry's figuring, a 5-run lead is pretty much like a save in this ballpark. It's like a save situation anywhere else.
Oh, that's what he said. Absolutely. I'm sure he didn't want to use Familia, but I think we don't know how this game's going to transpire today with 2 pitchers that you got Verrett, who hasn't started all year, a rookie. So I think he wanted to secure the first 2 games.
Here's Cespedes with the runner at second and 2 out. He takes a slider off the plate.
And you knew
well, Terry said it last night. He said, look, I'm going to try and win the game, and I'll worry about tomorrow when it gets here.
Right. And also, too, we're on the mountain time. Washington had already put up a W.
Recker at second with 2 out. 1-0 to Cespedes. Well, I think also you can't lose a game where you have an 11-run lead.
Agreed.
You have to do everything to make sure you win that game, because that's devastating if somehow you find a way to lose it. Mets have never blown more than an 8-run lead to lose in their history. So had that one gotten away, it would have been something for the record books. Cespedes gets tied up and he went around 1-2.
Okay.
Randy Gonzalez, the first base umpire, with the call.
I just don't think that's a swing, but that doesn't matter.
Well, it's supposed to be about intent, right?
Yep. Well, what does that mean?
Little dribbler. Hale comes off the mound. And the lollipop throw to first in time to get Cespedes, but the Mets tack on a couple of runs on wild pitches and lead 3-0 in the second.
Line drive caught by Brundle. He makes the tag. It's a triple play, and the ball game is over. An unassisted triple play to end the ball game. Unbelievable.
6 years ago today.
You see, Gary, I just teed it up for you.
You were talking about triple plays?
Yes.
Jeff Francoeur lining into the game-ending unassisted triple play turned by Eric Brundle, and we'll see Frenchie tomorrow, now in a Phillies uniform.
You'll see Frenchie tomorrow. With my open and how I'm starting out in this game, I need 4 days off. I got to recover.
Granted. Here's Ben Paulson leading off the home second, and he takes a strike from Verrett. Paulson 1 for 6 in this series. Homered his first time up Friday night. His 9th home run of the season. He's been playing most of the first base with Justin Morneau out with continuing problems resulting from concussions. That's been a sad story with Morneau the last few years. Guy who was a former MVP who just has seen his career curtailed by continual concussion issues. Morneau will be a free agent after this year. He was out doing a simulated game earlier today, and they're hoping to have him back before the end of the year, but it's probably Paulson's job next year, and he's had a pretty nice season for the Rockies. 1-2, just missed inside.
He's got a sweeping swing, I think, that's going to give him problems if he doesn't correct it. He's got a little loop in his swing, and it's a long swing. I think the pitchers can maybe will figure him out. Got to pitch him in. When a guy has a long swing, you got to pitch in.
And the Mets are doing that here. Well, the Indians beat the Yankees today 4-3. So the Indians take 3 out of 4 from the Yankees, and that means Toronto could take over first place in the AL East with a win today. They're playing the Angels, and up 6-5 in the third. 6-5 every day with that Toronto team.
They can
swing and a miss, and Paulson's down on strikes. First strikeout for Verrett.
Well, they've gotten everything from Tulowitzki. Ever since he's come, they've taken off.
Yep. Well, they've won 18 of 22, and I was looking at Josh Donaldson because he got to 100 RBIs last night, first to do it in the majors this season, and looking at his numbers next to Mike Trout's numbers. And I know Trout probably gives you more on the bases and more defensively, but their offensive numbers otherwise are pretty equal. Here's Kyle Parker, and he takes a strike. It's going to be interesting to see over the last quarter of the season who takes charge of that American League MVP race.
Well, it would certainly help Donaldson's case if Toronto would win the division.
Oh, 2 to Parker, who's 2 for 4 in this series. Had the 3-run triple in the game yesterday against John Neese. Daniel Descalso on deck. The other big story in the American League, the Texas Rangers, who've taken over the second wild card spot, and they won again today behind Cole Hamels, beat Detroit 4-2. Struck him out in a high fastball. So Verrett with his second consecutive strikeout.
That's the perfect place you want to throw it if you want to get a hitter to chase. Just above the letters.
Well, Verrett gave up back-to-back hits to start the first. He got the 3-6-1 double play, and ever since that, he's been throwing strikes. He's been ahead of the last 3 hitters, 0-2, struck the last 2 out. And now Daniel Descalso getting the start at shortstop today. And he pulls one down to first. Murphy with the diving stop and the backhand flip for the out. Well, the Mets adding some sparkling defense to all the offense in this afternoon's first 2 innings. First Flores and now Murphy. 3-0 Mets after 2. For 4 games starting tomorrow night. The big news tomorrow will be the return of David Wright. Then the Mets go home to play 3 with the Red Sox and 3 with the Phillies on the homestand that begins Friday night.
There you go.
Met fans everywhere. Daniel Murphy leads off in the 3rd inning, and he takes below the knees from David Hale. Murphy drove in the first run of the game with a double to left center. Hale misses high with the off-speed pitch, 2-0. Murphy, Uribe, and Johnson for the Mets in the 3rd. So the first 2 innings of this game, Hale was throwing 24 and 22 pitches. It's the 9th time in this series in 20 innings. 9th time in 20 innings that Rockies pitchers throwing 20 or more pitches in an inning. Gives you an idea just what a slog it's been for them. I was surprised to read this, considering all the problems pitchers have in this ballpark. The last time the Rockies had 2 starting pitchers go 2 innings or less, which was the case the last 2 nights, was 15 years ago, back in 2000. If Hale can get an out here in the 3rd, he will have already outstripped that. But Murphy takes one the other way, and he's got his 2nd hit of the day. So Murphy's 2 for 2, and the Mets have their 3rd hit against Hale.
Old Daniel, a day off last night. Off to a hot start. He had a 3-0 count, and he had the take sign. You never know if he did. He may have opted not to swing. But I would be more inclined as a manager at this ballpark to let your red hot hitters and your power hitters hit 3-0.
Here's Uribe, who struck out his first time up. And he slashes one foul in behind Tom Goodwin.
He hit that ball hard. Talk about that. That's a good call, Gary. I always call him the cut and slasher. This ball almost hit him, and he's able to get good wood on it. Look at this ball run in, and he's got that. That's called cut and slash. He's really, really good at it.
Oh, and 2 to Uribe. You know, you mentioned Murphy, night off last night, 2 for 2 already today. We got to look up the numbers. It just seems as though in day baseball, Murphy's always getting a multi-hit game, having a big day. That kicks away for the 4th wild pitch. That goes into the dugout, and Murphy will go to 2nd.
Well, I got to say here, it's a short hop, and Garneau is not just showing he's very adept as a catcher back there with the defensive skills. Jeez.
Well, Garneau just getting his 2nd major league start after 7 years in the minor leagues, and might be getting an idea why. So a runner in scoring position, 1-2 the count to Uribe, and he goes down swinging. Well, Hale having no trouble racking up the strikeouts. 6 of his first 7 outs have come via the strikeout.
Well, he's got a good breaking ball here. Gets Uribe out in front.
So 1 out. Here's Kelly Johnson. Well, here you go. These are the numbers on Murphy. Daytime hitting .336, nighttime .255.
Amazing.
So maybe especially now that the Mets are so fortified on the infield, and even more so with David coming back, maybe that's a good game plan for Murph. Rest him the night before a day game and get him out there hitting the ball to all fields. 1-1 to Johnson, who struck out his first time up. By the way, David Hale has just set a Colorado Rockies club record for wild pitches in a game. The record had been 3. He's already got 4.
And there was 4 guys with that 3 wild pitches. They're going to be off the books.
Heck, he had 3 in 1 inning. And it's still early.
Seeing everything in this series.
Bananas baseball. Johnson grounds one into the shift, and LeMahieu there to play it. 2 out, and Murphy goes to 3rd. How about a compendium of wild pitches?
There they are. There's one. That's all short hops. That's a backhand. That's bad fundies. That's a tough one right there. And that's a tough one also, but got his body in front, but he's not cushioning it. It's just like ricochet rabbit.
Ding, ding, ding. Who's Deputy Droop-Along in this equation?
This is one thing we love, Gary and I. We were cartoon watchers when we were kids.
Flores was hit by a pitch, scored a run his first time up, and he pops one up in foul ground. Paulson hoping for a play, but that'll be in the crowd. 0-2 to Flores.
But all you kids out there, we were cartoon watchers, and I don't know about Gary. I only speak for myself. I was up at 7 o'clock to watch Rough and Ready, and at 12 o'clock came Sky King. I didn't stay in. I had no. I watched 5 hours of cartoons. The rest of the day I was out playing, running around.
Well, there's another point to be made. Let's see if we have a chance to make it. That was almost another wild pitch, and good for Garneau. He gets a nice hand from the crowd after finally stopping one.
There you go.
He surrounded it.
Yeah, please give me a break. You're killing me back here.
Murphy at third with 2 out. 1-2 to Flores, and he reaches and taps one into right for a base hit, and that'll bring in a run. Murphy comes in to score. Wilmer Flores tacks on with an RBI single, and it's 4-0 New York. We have seen Wilmer do that repeatedly. Behind in the count, go to right field and get the run in.
2-out RBI. Just kind of places it out there. Wilmer, when he goes the other way, doesn't do a complete follow through. He just kind of places it out there. That was a tough pitch.
49th RBI for Flores, and now Michael Conforto, who singled and scored a run his first time up. I was going to say about the cartoon watching. When we were kids, you had Saturday morning cartoons,
right,
and you had the late afternoon cartoons when you got home from school. Kids now, they can watch cartoons 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if they want.
I understand.
So the we had natural limits on our ability to watch cartoons because of the nature of television as it existed then.
The old Saturday cartoons, I used to look forward to it.
See, I was never really a Saturday cartoon guy, more of a late afternoon. McGill Gorilla.
Well, they stopped showing the cartoons after 12 noon. When how much older am I than you?
You're 4 years older?
4? Okay, so I know that Sky King would come on, then My Friend Flicka and Black Beauty. I had no interest in that. I just wanted the cartoons. 12 noon they stopped. I was out playing.
Well, then they showed roller derby.
That was in the afternoon, late afternoon.
Conforto swinging 3-0, and he bounces it foul.
Well, I agree with Terry right there. I mentioned earlier, let these guys swing 3-0. They've been red hot during the weekdays. Not to belabor the point, 4 o'clock was Captain Satellite. Cartoons and all kinds of things. You'd blast off and watch cartoons in space.
Did you guys have Diver Dan out in California?
No.
I was big into Diver Dan. Flores runs. Conforto pulls a base hit. Flores will go to third. Bobbled by Cargo in right field. That has no impact. And Flores, after a turn, stops at third. Conforto is 2 for 2.
Nice
and
day.
the Mets have their third hit of the inning.
And again, the Mets just hitting the ball hard. Good hitting right there. Conforto, nice level swing, and that running fastball, bell tie up, away, excuse me. Hit parade.
Well, the Mets have already scored in the first 3 innings, looking to add more here in the third with the number 8 hitter Anthony Recker coming up. Recker drew a walk his first time up. Flores now at third. Conforto at first with 2 out. And Recker rips one right over the bag and down the line. That'll go to the corner. Flores is in. Conforto races for third. He'll be held up. Anthony Recker with an RBI double, and the Mets lead it 5-0. Wow. Rope after rope after rope. Recker's first double of the year, just his 4th RBI. And the Mets putting a pasting on David Hale.
Well, Recker came in the game 8 for 62, a 129 batting average. So good to see him contribute, get a start, and get a big double there. Anthony works hard. It's been a tough year for him.
Well, he spent a couple of tours in the minor leagues, but back and contributing, and happy to see it. Steve Foster, the Rockies pitching coach, has made a visit to the mound. Logan Verrett will bat for the second time. Struck out trying to bunt in the second. Mets with 2 runs home in the third and a 5-0 lead. And if you're Walt Weiss, you've got to leave David Hale out there for a while. They have burned through so much bullpen the last 2 nights. They did bring in 2 new relievers today. As Red chops one over the mound. Tough play for Descalso. He comes in and fires just in time to get Ferret, and that retires the side. But the Mets tack on 2, and in the middle of the third lead it 5-0. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by No Escape, in theaters everywhere Wednesday. River.
It's definitely an escarpment there. A little scary.
How would you define an escarpment?
Cliff, right?
Is that the same thing?
I think something like that, right?
I'm not an outdoors guy.
I think it's like a cliff kind of formation.
You never did any rock climbing in your life, did you?
Well, I used to climb trees all the time when I was a kid. We had lots of eucalyptus trees in Northern California. We used to climb them all over the place. If Mom only knew, she'd have had a heart attack.
Just don't slip on those rocks. They're fake.
Well, I did it, and then I had a creek in our neighborhood. I used to fall in it all the time.
Mets with a 5-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the third. And on that note, let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Guys, clearly a lot of things have gone right for the Mets since they made those trades in late July for Kelly Johnson and Juan Uribe. And, you know, one of the unspoken benefits of those moves is that it's starting to get guys that needed some time off some rest. Wilmer Flores, who stayed hot with an RBI in the last half of the inning, he's one of the guys that has benefited the most. The first 97 games of the season, Flores started all but 8 games. In the 26 games since the trade, though, he's gotten 10 days where he hasn't started. And Kevin Long said that you could tell as time was growing on in this season, the swing had gotten really long, had slowed down a little bit for Wilmer Flores. But as soon as those deals were made, the bat speed sped right back up. And what you're seeing is not just a better average, a guy who's hitting .333 since those trades, but some more power again. The 2 home runs, 6 doubles for Wilmer Flores.
Well, it's amazing how everybody seems to have thrived since the playing time has been parceled out more judiciously. Dustin Garneau fouls one off. We've seen it from Juan Lagares. We've seen it from Ruben Tejada. We've even seen it from Daniel Murphy. As guys have played less, their production has gone up.
Competition, Gary. I've always said it. Terry put a little burr in there and shook it up. Said those that hit are going to play, and everybody's getting playing time, and people that are winning and they want to play. You want to be out there. This team is playing with a lot of pep and hustle. They always hustle, but there's a lot of energy in this ball club. They've played wonderful defense in this series, and everybody's light-footed, and this is what happens when you're winning, boy. It's fun coming to the ballpark, and you want to ride this horse as long as you can.
Mets are trying to sweep a series at Coors Field for the first time ever. Ballpark opened in 1995. Mets have played a series a year here since then and have never swept the Rockies in this ballpark. 1-2 to Garneau, leading off in the home third, and he bounces one foul. Garneau, 28 years old, out of Fullerton State, 19th round pick in 2009, has been in the minor leagues for the Rockies ever since, and finally getting a chance to play in the big leagues and having himself a nightmare behind the plate so far tonight.
Well, his pitcher's not exactly helping him. David Hale, a lot of curveballs. All the balls in the dirt have been the breaking ball.
I mean, when they write the line in the record book for most wild pitches in a game by a Rocky, it'll say David Hale. But if you're the catcher, you're the party of the second part.
Is there a sanity clause in that?
I don't believe in no sanity clause. Up and away and a full count to Garneau. The pitcher Hale is on deck, and then Charlie Blackmon against Logan Verrett, who gave up back-to-back hits to start the first inning, but has settled in nicely from there. He's had a couple of nice defensive plays made behind him, made one himself to end a 3-6-1 double play. Trying to avoid walking the leadoff hitter here, and he does. So, first walk given up by Verrett. The last thing you want to do is walk in the 8-hitter to start an inning with a 5-run lead. So now Hale is 2 for 17 with 3 sacrifices. Uribe creeping in from third, and Verrett misses outside.
Well, this is where you want your pitcher to throw strikes. Corner infielders, I think, will always tell you, they're the ones charging the bunt, is that just don't make me expend too much energy. He's the pitcher, he's bunting, throw a strike.
Did you ever say those words to a pitcher?
Well, no, but I'm under my breath. At least the runner on first, you got to hold the runner on. It's a lot further to go. The third baseman always can cheat in.
Right.
He has a little less to go. First and second, then the first baseman obviously can cheat in a little more. But there were games, Gary, when there was a lot of hits like here where you hold a hot day game and you had runners on first base holding them on the whole game, and you just get worn out coming off the bag.
Nice bunt by Hale. Murphy handles it. 3-4 on the sacrifice, moving Garneau to second. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, Linda Church with the weather, and Caitlin Monty with all the traffic from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News. That's 5 to 9 a.m. where every story hits home.
It's tough work.
Getting up that early?
Means you got to get up, get to work too. So you're probably getting up, what, 3 o'clock?
It's a time in my life when I worked morning drive radio.
You did?
Yeah. Getting up at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh.
Did that for a few years. Not my favorite time of day. Here's Charlie Blackmon, who had a base hit back in the first inning.
What market was that in, Gary? What city?
I did it in Lebanon, New Hampshire, and in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Wow.
There's something about sitting at your desk at 4:45 in the morning, though, makes you feel very morally superior. So
really?
Everybody else is asleep, and you're hard at work. Blackmon hits one out to left center field, hit pretty well. Cespedes and Conforto in the gap, and Cespedes takes charge, and the runner will hold at second.
Can of Del Monte. When it's a fly ball in this ballpark, it's certainly a can of corn.
Cespedes plays the outfield like he does everything else with a lot of confidence. And, you know, having watched Lagares in his Gold Glove season last year and watching Cespedes right now, it's kind of an interesting comparison watching the two of them play center field.
Well, Lagares is a better center fielder last year than Cespedes. Right now, I haven't seen enough of him. But Lagares was just off the charts last season.
Here's DJ LeMahieu with a runner at second and 2 out. I know it's silly to talk about next year when the Mets are in a pennant race right now, but the Mets signed Lagares to a multiple-year contract, and they have to hope that he can regain that Gold Glove level of play.
I think he's lost a step, Care. Got to find that step back. He's too young to have lost a step.
Well, there's some in the organization who've been concerned with one about weight issues, and of course he has the elbow issue, which at some point needs to be resolved either through rest, which didn't work last winter, or through surgery. Well, but certainly something to consider, especially when you factor in that it's not likely that Cespedes is going to be here next year. I mean, there's a possibility the Mets could re-sign him, but that's got to be a long shot at this point. LeMahieu had a base hit his first time up. Garneau at second and 2 out, and that's grounded down to third, and Uribe handles it cleanly. Side retired. Logan Verrett works around a leadoff walk. He's got 3 shutout innings under his belt and a 5-0 lead. Cole Hamels gets the win for Texas today. They've won 9 of 11. They're in the second wild card in the American League. Anthony Rendon homers for the second straight day. Nats beat the Brewers 9-5. Chris Bryant, 1 of 4 Cubs home runs, and they're rolling over the Braves, who are on their way to their 7th straight loss.
Well, Texas went into second place, went ahead of California. They're only 4 games behind Houston.
Third time around the batting order, Curtis Granderson leads off in the 4th inning and takes a strike from David Hale. Curtis has walked, stolen a base, and scored a run, and then struck out. 0 for 1 today, 5 for 11 in this series.
I'll always call the Angels. They changed their name so many times. I always call them California.
Here's what I do. I just call them the Angels.
Yes, it's just too much.
Because right now they are officially the Los Angeles Angels, and they don't play anywhere near Los Angeles.
Why don't they say Orange County Angels? That's terrible.
Because they want to be thought of as being in the Los Angeles market, which they're not. So they're just the Angels. Granderson gets under 1 to center, and Blackman should have it lined up. 390-foot can of corn, and so it goes. 1 out. So now Cespedes is 0 for 2 today. Struck out and hit a comebacker. Kansas City rallied for 4 runs in the 9th inning. Mike Moustakas with a 2-run double, and they beat the Red Sox 8-6.
What do the Cardinals have to chunk in today?
That's Waka.
Waka. What's he going for? 15 or 16?
Not sure.
No, I don't know. Yeah, he's been pitching great.
Well, that whole staff. I mean, the Cardinals have all sorts of injuries to their outfield.
He's going for his 15th.
Their pitching has held them up. No Wainwright, no problem.
It's good to see some potential 20-game winners again. There's something about a 20-game winner. It just has a nice ring to it, you know, when a pitcher wins 20 games. The game has changed. They don't go so deep, so you have less and less. So someone really, when he wins 20 games in today's game, it really means something. Not easy to do. 32 starts, used to be 36.
So that would mean more to you than, say, a whip under 1 for the season.
Yes, it would mean. I would think if you win 20 games, I would think your whip is pretty good.
I would imagine it would probably follow.
It would go hand in hand.
Check swing foul. Daniel Murphy waits on deck. Do you follow a pitcher's xFIP?
Tell me what that is.
It's expected fielding independent pitching.
Oh, please. Please.
Takes into account strikeouts, walks, home runs, and park factors. Cespedes chases the breaking ball, and Hale has his 7th strikeout, 2 out of the inning. I don't have a problem with any of those things, except that the whole notion that a pitcher doesn't have any control over how hard the ball is hit. You know, this whole notion that once the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, that there's nothing he can do about where it's hit.
Yeah,
I think that's nonsense.
Well, he's making the pitch.
Well, he's making a pitch to try and induce weak contact, which induces more outs than hits.
Right.
Which is the whole point of pitching.
Right.
It's not just about strikeouts, walks, and home runs.
Exactly. There's a lot of people that stay up too late at night. They should go to bed. Or maybe watch the reruns of The Twilight Zone instead of being on the computer.
Yeah, this series is a pretty good substitute for The Twilight Zone. Paulson handles the hop, and Hale's got himself his first 1-2-3 inning of the day. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Mets with a 5-0 lead. That is not any particular player, by the way.
Right.
That is the ball player.
I kind of like that. It's unique to all the other barks.
Well,
it just symbolizes baseball.
Well, especially when you have a franchise that doesn't have a long history.
Right, and I just think I like that. I think it's subtle and kind of adds to the mystique and legend of baseball. I look at that statue and I think of old-fashioned baseball. Way back.
Carlos Gonzalez leads off the home 4th against Logan Verrett, who's turned in 3 scoreless innings to begin his first major league start. Cargo fouls back the fastball. Gonzalez grounded into a 3-6-1 double play his first time up. That helped Verrett work through first inning difficulty. Mets have staked him to a 5-0 lead. There's every chance that Verrett is going to make this start today and then go back to the minor leagues tomorrow, which will be no comment on his performance, just about roster management right now. That's because the Mets need to activate David Wright tomorrow, and rather than play a man short on the bench, with Verrett having started and not available out of the pen for a few days, they'll probably go in that direction.
And Verrett's aware of this,
yep.
And he loves having the opportunity.
And he'll be back in 10 days. After all, the rosters expand September 1st, which is, what, 9 days from now? So he'll be right back and will be available in the Mets bullpen through September, and might even get another spot start somewhere along the way. It depends how things shake out with Steven Matz and his return. Cargo hits it deep to center field. Cespedes back near the wall, and that's gone. Way back into the fake waterfall. Carlos Gonzalez, with his 30th home run of the year, gets the Rockies on the board.
And that is all he is trying to do right now with this club in last place.
So the Rockies now have a pair of 30 home run hitters with a quarter of a season to go. Arenado hit his 30th the other night, and now Cargo hits his 30th.
It's the only ballpark where you hit a ball 415 and dead central and drop your bat and you know it's out.
Second time in his career, Gonzalez has reached 30 home runs. He had 34 in his first full year with the Rockies in 2010.
You got to be careful now. This is the second run through the lineup. They've seen Verrett. And the good hitters in this lineup, there's one right there, taking their measure. So I'm sure Terry's watching this very carefully, and Dan Worthing.
Arenado was robbed of a hit on a terrific play by Flores his first time up. And Verrett gets ahead of him 0-2.
You can get Arenado to chase bad breaking balls.
And he gets him on 3 pitches. Strikes him out with a slider. Third of the day for Verrett.
Hanging slider here. It's right there on the tee. That might have been a changeup. Let's see if he's out in front. Yep, I think it was a changeup, more of a sink.
So 1 out now. Ben Paulson, who struck out his first time up. That's drilled down the right field line, but foul. Today's high-speed pitch comes from Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better. It's a tie. What's the prize, by the way, if you win the high-speed pitch?
They make enough money. They don't need any prizes.
No hit sign windsuit. You got Paulson at the plate, Parker on deck. Both played college baseball at Clemson. They were drafted a year apart by the Rockies. Unlike Parker, Paulson was not a football player at Clemson. Parker was an accomplished quarterback for the Tigers before he hurt himself his sophomore year and concentrated solely on baseball.
Well, the Cubs won their 71st game.
1-2 coming, and the breaking ball bounced down to first. Easiest of plays for Murphy, and there are 2 out. So after the home run, Verrett has retired 2 in a row, and now he'll try and get through the inning with Parker.
So the Cubbies now have won 20 out of 25. That is raging hot. Not red hot, raging hot.
Well, the Pirates played tonight against the Giants, and if Pittsburgh loses, then the Cubs are only 2 games behind the Pirates for that first wild card spot. Parker struck out his first time up. 5-1 New York, 4th inning. Bounce down to third. Easy play for Uribe. And so a nice bounce back by Verrett after giving up the home run to Carlos Gonzalez. He gets the next 3 hitters to get through the inning. Cargo with his 30th of the year puts the Rockies on the scoreboard. 5-1 New York as we go to the 5th. In his first major league start. 5-1 lead as we start the 5th. Juan Uribe leads off against David Hale and swings over the breaking ball. 0-1. Uribe's been up twice today and struck out both times. Uribe, Johnson, and Flores in the 5th. And there's a strike, and it's 0-2. So the Dodgers went into Houston and got swept.
Yes, they did.
Kershaw had a 2-1 lead going to the bottom of the 9th. Astros tied it in the 9th. Jason Castro hits a walk-off in the bottom of the 10th. Houston wins 3-2. Uribe strikes out for the 3rd time. So how about this? The Giants with a win tonight could be only a half game back of the Dodgers. And the Diamondbacks, who shut out the Reds today, are now only 5 games out of first place. By the way, the Reds have now lost 9 in a row. They got shut out today by Chase Anderson and the Diamondbacks. I mean, we know the Diamondbacks can hit. They're the highest scoring team in the league. If they get any pitching at all, they're going to be dangerous coming down the stretch.
And Atlanta's lost 7 in a row now.
Kelly Johnson grounds one toward the hole. Nice stop by LeMahieu from a knee. And he's out at first. Well, there's the Gold Glove play of DJ LeMahieu for the 2nd out.
Beautiful play here. Nice dive. He went the reverse on the to make it a more difficult throw. Had it spun around that way. Well done.
So Hale's retired 6 in a row. 2 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores. Wilmer's been hit by a pitch and singled in a run. He scored 2 runs today. The Mets 5 runs and 6 hits. The Rockies 1 run and 3 hits.
Look out, tough. He had to duck. Had to ask Tough on the flight if he's got his right arm sore.
From all the waving in this series.
Oh my goodness.
Mets have scored 33 runs now in this series. Arenado plays it at the hip and guns down Flores. So Hale has not been great, but he has been hardy. He's retired 7 straight, halfway through. 5-1 New York. above and beyond. Are those two Land Rovers?
Buffalo just chilling.
I mean, that is the calmest buffalo I've ever seen.
Yeah. There's another deer over there on the left. Oh, it's probably an elk.
Such bucolic nature scenes we're providing this series.
Thank goodness the bison wasn't wiped out back in the 19th century.
Okay, boys, back to baseball. Daniel Descalso leads off in the home 5th inning against Logan Verrett. Descalso robbed of a hit by a diving Daniel Murphy his first time up. So Descalso getting the start at shortstop today, and we didn't have a chance to talk to Walt Weiss before the game today about why Reyes is not playing today, but there were some rather pointed comments from Jose that were featured in the Denver Post today about how miserable he seems to be having come to a last place team.
Well, ill-advised, and his play is reflective of his attitude in the first 2 games that we've seen here. He seems to be overemphasize his numbers. Strike 3 right there from Verrett. And how about Verrett? What a job he's doing here.
4th strikeout for Verrett. Well, I compared Jose's situation and his trade from Toronto to the Mets to your situation. You went from a team that perennially was contending to a last place team. And I guess my question to you is, and you've stated very publicly how upset you were and disappointed you were as Garneau pops one up into shallow center. And Cespedes calling all the way. That's the 2nd out. But I don't think you said those things at the time publicly, did you?
No. No, of course I was disappointed to be going to the Mets. And we were in first place at the time in St. Louis when I got traded and going to a team that was a perennial last place team. But you don't come out and say it.
Right. So it's normal to have those thoughts, but not necessarily well advised to state them publicly.
Don't vocalize them, and I certainly didn't go out there and dog it in the field.
Now David Hale, who sacrificed his first time up. Verrett pouring in first pitch strikes. Kept his pitch count very low. He's retired 5 in a row since giving up the home run to Gonzalez in the 4th.
I can tell you a funny story. Not a funny story, a very interesting story. Rapidly, too. There's 2 outs. Taking BP, and I was in Candlestick Park, and I was unhappy, and it was a day game, and I just took a horrible BP. And my brother got me, who was around the cage, and he got me before and chewed me out and said, Bobby Valentine's throwing BP, busting his tail, and you take BP like that, you'd be ashamed of yourself. And that shook me up and got me right where I needed to be the rest of the season.
Line score brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Mets will be going places after the game today. They'll be heading to Philadelphia with some remorse, I would think. They've certainly enjoyed their stay here in the Mile High City. It's been different but successful.
Like the way they play, they want them in the same division. We've got 18 games against these guys.
I'll give David Hale credit. After a very rough beginning, he's been able to hang around and give the Rockies length, which they've so badly needed. He's retired 7 in a row. He'll face the lower third of the Mets order in the 6th inning. Michael Conforto 2 for 2 today, twice a single to right. He scored a run. And he rips that one down the line, but just foul.
He's getting much more level in his swing. I'm happy to see that. Remember, I've noticed he's been dropping his back shoulder. Look at that level swing right there.
We did detect a loop in that swing a couple of weeks ago. I know you've always talked about swinging at the tire, but what about in season? How do you get a loop out of your swing?
Well, you stay very disciplined in your BP gear. Conforto's the kind of guy that, and even Granderson's might gonna hit 25 home runs. Curtis is not going up there trying to hit home runs. He's a guy that's going to hit 15 without trying. 15, and then when he gets older, maybe 20, 25. Who knows? So in BP, strike 3 call, the backdoor slider. In BP, you stay disciplined on the high because they're grooving the ball to you. So when you get a ball belt high and up, you're not trying to put it in the 5 o'clock when it means nothing into the seats. You're hitting line drives. And that's where you stay away from that loop and stay away from that bat drop on that back shoulder. What you do in practice, it'll happen on the field.
Anthony Reckers walked and doubled in a run today.
I told you the story a million times. Well, not a million times, but Willie Stargell told me what he did. And Willie Stargell was a 40 home run guy, 30 home run guy, 300 hitter. Willie said he would take his BP as if all line drives worked first round left field, bring it to center, bring it to right, and then in the last 3 rounds where you had 3 pitches, 2 pitches, 1 pitches, he'd pretend it was late where they needed a 3-run home run, and that's when he'd try to hit the home run.
Recker cracks one to left field, and back goes Parker to grab it, 2 out. By the way, it's verging on a million times.
Yes. It's a great story, and it makes perfect sense. And why did he wait to the last 3 rounds with only maybe 4 or 5 pitches? He said, I didn't want to get into a bad habit of swinging up.
Well, you know, Conforto yesterday in batting practice was hitting them above the 3rd deck in right field, so he's got that kind of power.
Yeah, don't count.
Verrett hits one out to right center. Over comes Cargo, though, to grab it and deny Verrett his first big league hit. With that, Hale has retired 10 in a row, but the Mets up 5-1 in the 6th. We were talking last inning about Michael Conforto and his adjustment. 61 at bats now deep in his big league career after coming up from Double-A.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an adjustment. I had some success on some fastballs away, and really not seeing those anymore. And it's just like that. That's the adjustment that these guys make, and at this level, the scouting reports and whatnot, they know what you can hit, and they're not going to give it to you, and until you can prove that you can adjust as they do. And so I've seen some fastballs inside, trying to beat me inside. They'll go soft away and maybe run a changeup off the plate or go backdoor on me, go back foot slider on me. I've seen a lot of different looks. It's really good. I mean, and they can execute their plans. So it's been a definite adjustment. But something I have to go through.
Well, that is a very intelligent young man. He's very much aware of how they're pitching him. He realized when he came up, he was wearing that ball out left center field. They started pitching him backdoor sliders, as he mentioned, changeups away, and then now they come inside to me. So he's aware. You don't need a doggone computer to figure it out. You're seeing it in real time, and you should be able to catalog that in your brain and not be relying on a doggone computer or someone telling you this guy throws this, throws that, throws this. The game is basic. The pitchers are going to try to get you worried inside, and then they have you away. That was just a really impressive comments coming out of that youngster.
Logan Verrett starts his third time around the batting order in the bottom of the sixth. Charlie Blackmon bluffing a bunt. Well, Verrett has been very impressive in his first major league start, pretty much picking up where he left off in his 7 relief appearances for the Mets. Gave up hits to the first 2 batters, but only 1 hit since the Carlos Gonzalez home run in the 4th. Blackmon had that first hit against him in the opening inning. And again showing bunt, takes a strike.
No, getting back to Conforto and his comments, and pitchers are going to find out about you when you're a rookie, and then when you prove that you can hit all of them, and then they're going to pitch you the way they're going to attack you, the way they attack anybody. That's a good hitter. They're going to move the ball in and out. Some pitchers have patterns, pitches that they like. You've got to recognize what their strengths are and what they like to use on you when they're in trouble or when they need an out. So all good. I think that Conforto has such a bright future. He's got a beautiful swing, and I think he's a hitter, and I think the sky's the limit for him.
Simone Castro just called up today by the Rockies. Has some big league time with the White Sox, but he'll be looking to make his Colorado debut if he gets in this game. 2-2 to Blackmon with LeMahieu and Gonzalez to follow. And Blackmon is drilled, and he'll go to first base.
Well, the tip for a tat.
Well, Flores was hit by a pitch earlier in the game, and that's the first Rocky who's been hit in this series.
And I don't think Verrett right here does not want to give anybody a free pass, and he wants to pitch a good ball game, get a W.
Blackmon also gets hit by a lot of pitches. That's 12 this year. So the top 6 in the league in getting hit. So the Rockies have a leadoff base runner, and now DJ LeMahieu, who has singled and grounded out 1 for 2. Well, we said it just about every inning in this series, but there is no lead safe here. And 5-1 in this ballpark is like 2-1 somewhere else.
And don't forget, you got top of the order here, so the big bombers are coming up. The 2 30 home run guys.
And as you said the last time through, I mean, now it's the 3rd time through the batting order for Verrett.
Right. Don't think Terry's got an eye on it. Doesn't have an eye on it.
Well,
also in this ballpark here, excuse me, I'm sorry. You could be throwing a good game, and 1 inning it can just blow up on you.
Well, when Blackmon got aboard in the first inning, Verrett paid him a lot of attention, maybe too much attention, and gave up a base hit to LeMahieu. Now you got a 4-run game, and we did see Blackmon steal far behind on Friday night, but right now Verrett's focus has got to be on the hitter. And LeMahieu whacks one out to right. Granderson back, has room on the warning track, and reels it in. And back to first goes Blackmon, one away. You can place a deposit on your 2016 full or partial ticket plan today and guarantee yourself access to 2015 Mets postseason tickets. Purchase tickets online at Mets.com/deposits. 1 out and 1 on. Now Carlos Gonzalez, who homered over the center field fence in the 4th inning, the only run against Verrett today. It was Cargo's 30th home run of the season, second 30 home run season of his career. And his second home run in this series. It went off Cologne Friday night.
Got himself a pitch up in the strike zone and dead central and at high altitude, 415. That's doesn't mean anything. He can hit. He's a very powerful guy. 400, almost 460 feet on that home run, if you care about that stuff. To me, it doesn't matter unless it's a Mickey Mantle monstrous shot where he hit it at Yankee Stadium. What, 512 feet? They said something like that. Remember that baseball card that had the home run?
565.
Right.
In Washington, Griffith Stadium.
Remember
supposedly.
Remember they had the bubblegum
card?
Oh,
the one at Yankee Stadium that hit the facade.
Yes.
How far it would have gone.
Yes. Yeah. I remember when I was a kid.
Good job by Verrett having him chase that changeup.
Well, you can get, because Gonzalez is trying to hit home runs every at bat. You can get him to fish after off speed pitches. But I remember that bubblegum card was a high camera way up above the first base dugout and had the arc of the baseball.
The dotted line.
Yes.
To the facade.
Oh, and I remember I was a kid. I was just, I was so thrilled to get that card. Just couldn't believe it.
Red ahead 0-2. Recker sets up outside. Struck him out. Got him with a changeup. Strikeout number 6 for Logan Verrett. 2 men down.
This, Garrett, might have been a breaking ball. His best one he's thrown. Let's see. Look at Recker's glove. He wants it down. I'm not sure what it is, whether it was a slider or a changeup, but whatever it was a good one and very effective.
So 2 out. Blackmon still at first, and it's left to Nolan Arenado, who's 0 for 2. Well, this is the 3rd time in this game that the Rockies have gotten the leadoff man on. The first 2 times, Verrett was able to get through the inning without anybody scoring, and he's trying to do that for a 3rd time. That is hard to do, particularly in this park. Toward the hole, and Arenado sneaks one through for a base hit. Blackmon trying for 3rd. The throw coming from Conforto, and Blackmon is out. Blackmon, who has run the bases miserably this entire series, makes another bonehead play, and Conforto guns him down to end the inning. I have no idea what Charlie Blackmon was thinking, but this has been going on for 3 days. Terrible base running.
Plays in front of him too, Gary. And you see Conforto didn't think anybody would try to make that. What a... Oh, boy, that's a bonehead. Rock pile.
That's a man having a bad series. Charlie Blackmon is a fast base runner, but he has had a terrible base running series, and this is the latest episode.
Well, you're down 4 runs. He almost fooled Conforto, but he's out by a mile. Now let's see what's in his thoughts and his plays in front of him. Oh boy, that's just no, you don't do that. Not at this ballpark. Not at any ballpark.
Do you remember, was it earlier this year or was it last year? Daniel Murphy made a base running mistake, and David Wright said of Daniel Murphy, sometimes he thinks he's invisible on the bases.
Yes.
I think that's what Blackmon thought there, that nobody could see him.
The only thing, it's not funny when you lose, when it costs you ball games.
Simon Castro making his debut for the Rockies, working now in relief of David Hale.
Well, how about Logan Verrett, Gary?
Yeah. He's been great, and he's going to get a chance to keep on going. 71 pitches through 6 innings.
This
you
is
see
what
Castro's minor league numbers. Granderson drills one into right field for a base hit. So the first batter that Castro faces in the National League picks up a base hit. 6th hit of the series for Granderson.
Late in the ball game right here. If the Mets can tack on a big inning, I think lights out.
Now Cespedes is 0 for 3 today. Struck out twice and hit a comebacker against Hale. Hale was able to survive through 6 innings. The first 3 were not good, but then he retired 10 in a row. Gave up 5 runs, 4 earned on 6 hits, 2 walks, and a career high tying 9 strikeouts. He also put himself in the record books by throwing 4 wild pitches.
Yeah, but he got it together after the horses were left the barn.
Well, those horses can come back to the barn. You know.
I'm sorry, it's too late.
Murphy is on deck, and Cespedes turns out of the way. Castro has some big league experience. He pitched in 4 games with the White Sox in 2013. Then he had Tommy John surgery, missed all of last year, and now back in the big leagues after signing a minor league deal with the Rockies in April. 1-2 to Cespedes.
Cespedes this game has been back to his old ways of trying to pull too much and chasing a lot of bad breaking balls away. First 2 games he was using right center field.
Granderson at first. He's already stolen a base today, and Castro checks in on him. Talking about the Rockies' moves in their bullpen, they had to do something because they had put so much pressure on their bullpen in the first 2 games of the series. 14 1/3 innings in the 2 games. So they called up Castro, they called up Jairo Diaz, and in making space for them, they designated for assignment 40-year-old Rafael Betancourt. Weak swing and a foul ball, and that's kind of a sad note for the Rockies. Betancourt, who has done so much strong work for this franchise, has been cast aside.
Like you said, he's 40 years old. He had a great run. Nice run. Can't last forever.
He had Tommy John surgery and then came back after missing all of last year, but the results just weren't there. But he's had himself a fine career. That's inside, and Cespedes hit by the pitch. So the second Met to be hit today, after Blackmon was hit in the last inning.
Well, there's your chance, Mets, to blow this game open. It's your turn now with men on base with the big middle of your order. Murphy red hot, 2 for 3 and an RBI today. This is the nail and the final nail in the coffin right here if you hit a gapper.
Murph drove in a run with a double in the first, singled and scored in the third. Mets in this series with runners in scoring position, 19 hits and 42 at bats. And a chance for Murph here with nobody out. And Castro misses high, ball 1. Well, the Mets came here from Baltimore, where the Orioles finished off their series against the Mets on a high note on that walk-off home run by Henry Urrutia Wednesday night. They just got swept in a 4-game series at home by the Twins. Lost in extra innings today. Double play ball to LeMahieu. And the relay by Descalzo in time for the double play. 2 men down. 4-6-3 double play. And Granderson goes to third. So the Twins went into Baltimore and swept 4.
And the Twins haven't been playing very good.
Well, they're now back to 2 games over 500. And the Orioles just 1 game over 500. So the Twins have passed the Orioles in those wild card standings, which are so crowded in the American League. Such a difference. Where in the National League, you basically have 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. In the American League, you've got nearly a dozen teams in the wild card race. Well, Uribe trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero today. He struck out all 3 times against David Hale. Granderson at third and 2 out. '27-year-old Simon Castro making his Rockies debut. And is he stopping at the belt, or is that considered a full windup? I guess there's a stop right there. And a good slider to get him ahead on Uribe.
So Uribe has been having difficulty in this game here. 3 strikeouts, having a tough day.
Well, he's 36, day game after a night game. Arenado on the backhand, his nightly highlight play, and throws out Uribe. He's amazing.
He is.
Every day.
Soft hands, Gary.
2-time Gold Glover.
Just beautiful.
Odds on for a third.
Beautiful play. Strong arm.
Stretch time, 5-1 New York. Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. The playoff picture is brought to you by Optimum Wi-Fi. Here are the standings in the National League East with the Nationals' victory this afternoon. They're 4.5 back. Mets trying to push it back to 5 with a win today. And they will meet the Phillies tomorrow night in Philadelphia. The Phillies pulling into a 4th place tie with the Marlins by beating Miami again today. They got great pitching from Aaron Nola, one of their good young starting pitchers, the only one the Mets will not see in this upcoming series. Nola pitched a fine game today, went 8 innings, 3 hits, and a 2-0 Philadelphia win. It's going to be a very different Phillies team that the Mets see for these next 4 games than the one that they've beaten 8 out of 9 times this year. They're the out-of-town scores brought to you by the Rams Summer Clearance Event. Chase Anderson with a fine pitching job by the Diamondbacks today. We mentioned Nola for the Phillies. Nationals got home runs from Ramos and Rendon to beat the Brewers. Cubs hit 4 home runs and beat the Braves, handing Atlanta their 7th straight loss. Cardinals behind Michael Wacha, leading the Padres in the 6th, and the Giants and Pirates finish off their series tonight.
Well, the man of the hour,
Logan Verrett, getting his first big league start today as the Mets skip Matt Harvey, and it's worked out better than the Mets could have ever expected for Verrett. He's gone 6 innings, allowed 1 run, just 5 hits, and should have plenty left in the tank as he takes them out for the bottom of the 7th with a 5-1 lead. I said 5 hits. I should have said 4 hits, but you can see that on the graphic right up there in the bug. Says 4 in the H column.
It's a bug.
That's the bug. Some shadows starting to encroach toward the third baseline here at Coors Field, where they started the game just after 2 o'clock local time. Verrett will face Ben Paulson, Kyle Parker, and Daniel Descalso in the bottom of the 7th. Talking about the Phillies and what the Mets are going to see when they get there. It is a stripped-down team. Yes. No more Chase Utley, no more Cole Hamels, no more Jonathan Papelbon, Ryan Howard, and Carlos Ruiz, the only guys left from the Phillies championship season. Now it's guys like Aaron Alter and Cesar Hernandez and Odubel Herrera who are populating that Phillies lineup, and the Mets are going to have to do a lot of studying up on the new guys. Adam Morgan, the soft-tossing lefty, goes against Jacob deGrom tomorrow. Noah Syndergaard against Jerome Williams Tuesday. Cologne against Jared Eickhoff, who made his debut for the Phillies this weekend and looked awfully good. And then Nice against the veteran Aaron Harang on Thursday night. Here's Paulson, who struck out and grounded out. And he takes ball 1.
Well, it's certainly a different Philly club who's been playing a heck of a lot better in the second half of the season.
Well, with their win today, the Phillies are now 21-12 since the All-Star break.
And that's under Pete McCannon, the would you say interim manager? Would you call him interim?
He is the interim manager, but I'll tell you what, the way the Phillies have responded, you'd have to think that they're going to give him the job for real. The Phillies were 26-48 when Ryan Sandberg decided to step down. They're 24-26 since McCannon took over, but they've played better since they moved the veterans out of the clubhouse. I mean, everybody knew that Papelbon was going to go, and they were pretty certain Hamels was going to go, and now Utley gone as well. Carlos Torres, Eric O'Flaherty up in the Mets bullpen. 2-2 now to Paulson. Among the pieces that have fallen into place for the Phillies, they traded Papelbon. Ken Giles has taken over the closer's role. He's 9 for 9 since Papelbon left.
Well, Giles throws very hard. So they had a great run, the Phillies. You know, they had a great squad there, and the toughest job for a general manager is to figure out your aging stars, when to get rid of them.
And, you know, by most people's measure, they waited way too long.
I mean, you give the big contract to Ryan Howard, and what, he tears his Achilles heel, and that pretty much diminished him. You know, you can't, you haven't, you know, hindsight's 20/20. And Utley was such a great player for so long.
And Rollins and Ruiz and all those guys.
I kind of thought when they lost Shane Victorino, I think they lost a little bit of that spunk, and that he was such an energetic player.
Paulson goes down swinging. Strikeout number 7 for Verrett. 1 down in the 7th.
Well. Just what the Mets were looking for from Logan Verrett. Not out of the woods yet.
1 out and nobody on. Now Kyle Parker, who has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. Barrett has had everything working today. Only blemish against him, the home run by Carlos Gonzalez leading off the fourth. We mentioned it earlier, 3 times now in this game the Rockies have gotten the leadoff man on, and each time Barrett's been able to get out of the inning without anybody scoring, which in this ballpark is a stunning achievement.
Well, he got helped in the 6th with a bad base running blunder by Blackman. But the first inning got off to a shaky start. Gare, 2 straight base hits, induced a double play and a ground out. Got out of that one. Leadoff walk in the 3rd. Got out of that one.
Certainly made the Mets feel much better about skipping Matt Harvey today. Matt will make his next start Friday against the Red Sox. But it just accentuates the abundance of young pitching talent that the Mets have in this organization. Barrett was kind of an afterthought. He was left off the 40-man roster and taken in the Rule 5 draft. The Mets were fortunate to get him back. And look what he's doing now. Just 25 years old. 0-2 to Parker. Lifted to left center. And Cespedes edges over. 2 out. Well, this is just about unfair. But the Mets have the most starts this season of 7 innings or more, and the Rockies in the major leagues have the fewest.
And it looks like they're going to add to it at 55 here if Barrett can get this final out of the inning. There's Jonathan Neese, now 8-9 on the year. What a charge he's made to get to 500.
Well, he had in some respects the quintessential Coors Field victory yesterday. Gave up 7 runs in 5 1/3 innings and got himself a win.
I thought he pitched fine. It was just tough ballpark to pitch in, but Barrett's the one that's got the stars across his name. What a fine performance.
Descalzo's 0 for 2, and he takes a fastball outside, 1-1. Well, when you heard the scouts talk about Barrett, and Terry Collins echoed this, he said he doesn't have great stuff. He has enough on his fastball. His slider's been good, and we'll see. Well, we've seen today.
Well, he has given Terry Collins and his teammates what they needed, and what would be best now in this game would be not to have Clippard or Familia in this ball game.
1-2 coming. Struck him out. Got him with the changeup. Logan Barrett with 8 strikeouts pitches a 1-2-3 bottom of the 7th, and he may be able to continue on from there. We go to the 8th. Mets up 5-1. Pregame.com. Not as full a box score as we've had the last two nights, but enough so far for the Mets. Daniel Murphy, a first inning RBI double. He's had 2 hits. Michael Conforto, a couple of hits. Anthony Recker, an RBI double. And the Mets with a 5-1 lead as we go to the 8th. And Logan Verrett has been the story. 7 innings, 87 pitches, and he should be good to run out there for the 8th as well. Kelly Johnson leads off for the Mets against Simon Castro, who begins his 2nd inning of relief. Johnson 0 for 3 today. Was robbed of a hit by LeMahieu his last time up. Johnson, Flores, and Conforto for the Mets in the 8th. Well, we mentioned that the Dodgers lost today. Kershaw started. Dodgers lost it late. Very interesting quote coming out of that game from Kershaw, with the Dodgers having lost 5 in a row. He said, quote, "I hope we're panicking a little bit. I think panic is a good thing. There needs to be a sense of urgency." Very interesting.
Prodding his team.
Yep.
Mates.
Well, a lot is happening with that team right now. Don Mattingly has sat down the all-star rookie Jock Peterson, playing Kike Hernandez in center field, because Peterson's just been dreadful since the all-star break. Big swing by Johnson, 3-2. And the Dodgers lead could be down to a half game if the Giants win tonight. Fly ball to left for Parker. And Johnson retired, 1 away. Wilmer Flores coming up. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
So much this weekend about how this is such a hitter's park and how much it benefits the offense. And Michael Kadire said, you know, if you play here and you're a Rocky, it doesn't just benefit you at home, but it benefits you a lot when you go on the road too, because you feel so good about your swing when you play here 81 games that translates, and that confidence translates as you go on the road. And the numbers for Kadire, at least, really back up what he was saying. In his 3 years with Colorado, his batting average on the road was 33 points better than it's been the rest of his career.
Well, it may have worked for Michael. I don't think it works for most of the Rockies, because their road numbers tend to be not so good. I think guys get a false confidence hitting in this ballpark, and we've seen it before with these Rockies teams. They are a completely different offensive team on the road.
It's the only time we get a stat pack, a big stack pack, folks. We get home and road. I don't really pay attention to them, but when the Colorado Rockies are in town.
Arenado with another nice play and throws out Flores, 2 out.
You have to look at the home and road numbers, because the difference is stark.
Well, the Rockies average 2 runs per game more at home than on the road. They're hitting over 300 as a team at home, and they're hitting 235 on the road. I mean, those are stark differences. So, again, Kadire might have had a different experience, but for most of these Rockies, and really throughout their history, it's been a completely different story.
So, to add to that,
Conforto drives one deep center field. That goes Blackman near the wall, and that ball is on the warning track, hops into the stands for a ground rule double. Conforto with a blast to center for his 3rd hit of the night.
like to see him use left center field. Excellent. Let's see, wanted it in, missed. Ball's on the outside corner, went right with it. So a beautiful day for Conforto, who was going to get sent down. And look at this. Look at the eyes on the ball. Just got under it a tad.
Conforto's double, the 21st extra base hit in this series for the Mets. Now Anthony Recker, who had one earlier in the game, an RBI double in the 3rd. Well, Michael Kadire is out on deck to bat for Logan Verrett. You a little surprised by that?
I am. Who's up in the bullpen for the Mets? He's left-hander.
Glenn O'Flaherty. And Carlos Torres as well.
Well, we'll see what happens if Recker makes the third out if Terry runs him back out there another inning. I think Terry wants to tack on if he makes the pinch hit move here, which.
Well, there's another possibility too, which is that Kadyr's on deck as a ruse so that they don't walk Recker intentionally.
Yes, good point.
And that he has no intention of pinch hitting for Verrett, but we'll see. Recker swung the bat well today, had the double in the third, then lined out to left his last time up. One-two coming, and Castro strikes him out to end the inning. And we'll see who pitches for the Mets when we go to the bottom of the eighth. Logan Verrett has done a marvelous job today in his first big league start with a 5-1 lead.
Well, rightly so. And I think even if Recker had gotten a base hit or walked, Terry might have left him in the game. It's about saving the pen right now.
Yeah, so Kadir on deck was probably just a deke on the part of Terry Collins to make them pitch to Recker. So Verrett will try and pay off that confidence. 87 pitches through 7. He'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the order. Dustin Garneau to lead off. Matt McBride on deck to be a pinch hitter, and then the base running blazer Charlie Blackmon. There's a call strike to Garneau. Verrett has been all about the first pitch strikes today. Here's McBride on deck. Garneau lifts one to center, and Cespedes has it lined up. 1 out. When you think about it and go back to Verrett's relief outings, what we're seeing today is not appreciably different from what we saw from Logan in virtually all of his relief appearances.
Well, but we only saw 1 inning at a time. So there you go.
That's exactly the way the Mets want to see Familia spend the rest of the day.
And Clippard
with his feet up. Get him some sunglasses, though. Looks like he's having some problems with the sun. So here's McBride, who started yesterday at first base and went 2 for 5. And he takes a little bit high for ball 1. Verrett has walked only 1. He's struck out 8. He's hit a batter. Giving up a run on 4 hits. McBride drives one to right center, slicing away from Cespedes, who reaches down and makes a terrific shoestring catch. That ball was moving away from Cespedes the entire time, but he stuck that glove out and picked it right off his shoe tops 2 away.
Well, just a beautiful play here. It's all about getting there, the jump. That's a professional out there, a major leaguer. If he can get to it, he's going to make the catch. And I tell you what, it is just more emblematic. You think in terms of this series, if the Mets hang on and sweep, you think in terms of the offense with the two 14-run games. It's been the defense, too, both on the infield and the outfield. It's been outstanding.
And that was the play of the game, brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealer. So here's Blackmon. 1 for 2 and a hit batsman today. And he has set a new low standard for base running in a series. Ball 1 to Blackmon.
Let's just say you wouldn't put him in command of a platoon. Poor judgment.
It's this one out to left field, and Conforto is right there. And Verrett keeps it going with a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. Maybe it goes the distance.
How about a complete game?
Mets haven't had one of those all year. 5-1 New York going to the 9th. Cespedes' fine defense, and it looks like 8 is enough for Verrett. His first big league start, 8 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. And the Mets hoping to supply him with the final 3 outs to get him the victory. What a day for Logan Verrett, pitching in the upper atmosphere here in Coors Field, and he has been wonderful.
Well, he's pitched in Vegas. He knows all about light air, but he's given everybody a schooling here on how to pitch a good ball game at Coors Field. Just brilliant effort.
Well, he's in line for his first major league win, and what it also means is the Mets can have a lot of confidence from Verrett going forward that if they need a spot starter, that he can be the guy to provide that. Jairo Diaz just joined the Rockies today, one of the 2 relievers they recalled. Diaz, who got a few games last year with the Angels, his debut as a Rocky, hard thrower. Michael Kadire pinch hitting for Verrett and takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Well, with the 28-run barrage the Mets put on here the first 2 games, the Rockies had to make a move, bring some fresh arms in.
Well, he had made 4 relief outings as a Texas Ranger in April, 7 relief outings as a Met. Kadire pops one straight up, and the catcher Garneau sheds the mask and makes the play 1 away. And you know, there was a lot of skepticism when the Mets announced that they were going to skip Harvey, and you know, a lot of the pundits felt as though the Mets should have waited till Steven Matz was ready before they skipped Harvey. Well, Logan Verrett made all that moot.
Yes, he put it to bed, and Terry said he wanted to get it out of the way. So I want to get Harvey's skipped start out of the way as fast as possible.
Here's Granderson, who's 1 for 3 and a walk. And what probably is going to happen when Matz comes back is they'll add Matz to the rotation, probably go with 6-man for part of September, and then it's going to depend in part on how the race goes. You know, if you open up a large enough lead, who knows what happens from here, then you can afford to skip whoever you want and set your rotation up for the postseason. But that's a long way away.
Well, let's go Met chants are up.
Not as many Met fans in the house today as there were yesterday, but they're making plenty of noise now.
Their Colorado fans probably saying, oh, those obnoxious New Yorkers.
Good. 2-2 to Granderson. Well, we'll see who pitches the 9th for the Mets. Hansel Robles was up a moment ago. Terry stayed away from Robles with a 5-run lead in the 9th yesterday and used Familia. Granderson out on strikes, 2 men down. But this has been a different kind of day. The ball isn't flying around Coors Field quite the same as it did the last 2 nights. So perhaps he will trust Robles with the 4-run lead today. 2 out now, Cespedes. Cespedes 0 for 3, was hit by a pitch his last time up. Mets 5 runs, 8 hits. The Rockies 1 run and 4 hits. We're in the 9th. In the bottom of the 9th, the Rockies will have LeMahieu, Gonzalez, and Arenado. So certainly a difficult path for Robles in that bottom of the 9th. Diaz has a reputation as a hard thrower who's not quite sure where it's going all the time. And you saw there 2-0 to Cespedes, who's already been hit once today. Foul tip, 2-1. By the way, did I mention the Blue Jays are at it again today? So 12-5 they lead the Angels in the 9th.
Jeez.
23 times now they've scored 9 or more runs, including the last 3. And if they win that game, they go into first place with the Yankees lost this afternoon. The Angels at one point were leading that game 5-1. Now it's 12-5 Toronto. It's been a rough rough weekend for Southern California baseball between the Dodgers and the Angels.
Oh, what a shame. Being a San Franciscan.
The Angels will fall a game and a half behind Texas for that second wild card if they don't win that game.
Been a tough day for Cespedes. Hasn't looked comfortable at the plate. Out in front again like that with one hand. Get him out of that 2-hole. Get him back in that 3-hole.
Well, there's every chance he'll be hitting third tomorrow. David Wright may well slide into that second spot in the batting order. It's going to be very interesting to see how quickly David can get up to major league speed. That's Terry Collins' biggest concern. David's looked great in the Florida State League. He's passed all the tests, but as Terry said, that's the Florida State League. It's not the big leagues. And you know, it's going to take some time, and we've seen with all these Nationals players who've come back from the disabled list, it's all taken a while for them to get their stride. And you know, the Mets in a pennant race, they need for David to be David Wright and get there quickly. Cespedes lays off, and that's ball 4, so he's on with a 2-out walk. And Murphy will get another turn at bat.
He did not swing.
So a 2-out base runner. Murphy's 2 for 4 today, single, a double, and RBI. Terry was asked today how many games in a row David would play, and he said he's not sure that David's going to have a lot of say in that. It's going to depend how he recovers after each game, how his back feels. He's going to have to do an extraordinary amount of pregame work every day to get that back in condition to play. And as David himself said when he was in New York last month, there are going to be days when he's just not going to be able to go. And there's going to have to be good communication, as there has always been between Terry and David, to figure out when he can play and when he can't. Murphy grounds one down to Paulson, and that retires the side. That's 3 outs away from a sweep in Denver, leading at 5-1.
at 4 immediately following Verizon Fios pregame at 3:30. Catch all the action right here on New York's Home for Baseball. Picks 11. Rockies in-game box score brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Only 4 measly hits for the Rockies today against Logan Verrett. Carlos Gonzalez hit his 30th home run. That was the only mark against Verrett. And now in the bottom of the 9th, Yoenis Cespedes will move over to left field. Juan Lagares comes in to play center field, and Hansel Robles will try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, there's Hansel's numbers, the hard thrower. He's been a good outing. He takes his lumps sometimes, and sometimes he gets them out. And I tell you what, overall, I mean, he's impressed me. He's not afraid out there. He'll go after hitters, and the Mets are looking for 3 outs and get on an airplane with a sweep here and maintain that 5-game lead over the Nationals.
DJ LeMahieu 1 for 3 today. Leads off the last of the 9th and takes outside from Robles. Hansel pitched on Friday night, worked the 7th inning, gave up a run on 2 hits. That came after an outing in Baltimore where he gave up a home run to Adam Jones that tied the game. So looking for a clean outing today with a 4-run lead in the 9th. And LeMahieu takes a slider inside. It's 2-0. Carlos Gonzalez on deck, and then Nolan Arenado. So at the first hint of trouble, you can be certain that Jeurys Familia will be up. Terry wanted to stay away from Familia and Clippard today, but if he needs one of them to win the game, he will not hesitate. And now it's 3-0 to LeMahieu.
I got my eye on that bullpen.
Ricky Bonas has his clipboard, and he's running for the phone right now.
Yes, he is.
He's running for baseballs.
Running for baseballs.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And that's a 4-pitch walk to LeMahieu, and that is certainly not the beginning that Robles wanted.
That's a no-no.
So now you got Cargo coming up with a man on, and Juan Uribe immediately goes into the mound to be the elder statesman and voice of reason for Hansel Robles.
We've seen a lot of that with Juan. Can't beat you. Now you're going for a big shift on Gonzalez here. Uribe's looking in the dugout. Where do you want me? Okay.
Well, they've been overlapping Uribe to the right side in some of these shifts, but this time they'll keep him home so that Flores is in position to turn a double play if need be. Cargo has delivered the only Rockies run today with a 4th inning home run. And he takes a fastball in the inside corner. Good pitch from Robles to start him off. It's a final. Toronto beat the Angels 12-5, so Blue Jays move back into first place in the AL East. And the Angels lose their 4th in a row. Murphy not holding LeMahieu on. And Cargo gets tied up. It's inside, 1-1. Foul. That'll come out of play. 1-2. Hansel turned 25 years of age this month, and having a good rookie season. Certainly been a learning year for Robles. Two and two now to Gonzalez. Terry needs to learn who we can trust in that bullpen beyond Familia and Clippard. And Robles trying to build that trust.
Well, Terry said a 4 or 5 run lead is like a save here in this ballpark.
2-2. Struck him out. Robles fans Gonzalez, 1 down in the 9th.
Well done. Slider. Just kind of cut inside. Uppercut swing.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Nolan Arenado. He was 1 for 3 today. Single to left his last time up. That was the play where Blackman foolishly tried to go to third and Conforto threw him out. That was the last Rockies hit.
Nice.
Recker knocks it down, and LeMahieu stays put at first.
Tell you what, Recker really worked hard on his defense, and he is not a liability behind the plate. He's the best thrower on the team,
and he's built like a wall.
Well, that goes without saying. He has the nicest dog too.
Does he?
Oh yeah, sweetheart of a dog.
One and 0 to Arenado. LeMahieu takes off. Mets let him go. Defensive indifference as Arenado takes a strike. So that takes away the force. One coming, and the slider misses. 2 balls and a strike.
Did you notice the entire series that the mascot Dinger has usually behind home plate in the 9th inning? Has not been back there at all. Thank goodness.
Perhaps he's been banned, like the rally parakeet last night.
Parakeet was funny.
2-1 coming. And it's fouled away, and now it's 2-2 to Arenado with Ben Paulson waiting on deck. Started out as an innocent bird on the screen, and it became a character.
Absolutely.
In the Mets season. Robles struck out Gonzalez. 2-2 to Arenado. And it's bounced foul. Robles trying to finish what Logan Verrett so ably started. Verrett in line for his first big league win and his first big league start. Two. Down to third. A rebound the backhand. Still has time. 2 out.
Nice play. One out from a sweep. Nice backhand recovery.
Knew he had a slow man running in Arenado. And took his time. No panic. And so the Rockies are down to their final out with Ben Paulson coming to the plate. Paulson is 0 for 3 today, struck out twice against Verrett, 1 for 9 in the series. Robles trying to put on the finishing touches. Paulson takes a strike. You can hear them, they're everywhere. Paulson golfs one foul, and now the Rockies are down to their final strike. If the Mets can win this game, they'll go to 11 games over 500, which will match their high water mark for the year. Just got a piece.
caught record. Kyle Parker would be next. Oh, 2 to Ben Paulson. Inside, 1-2. Let's head to Philadelphia upon conclusion of the game today. Start a 4-game series at Citizens Bank Park tomorrow night with Jacob deGrom on the mound. One-two from Robles. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Hansel Robles puts on the finishing touches for Logan Verrett, who gets his first major league win, and the Mets have their first ever series sweep at Coors Field as they beat the Rockies 5-1.
Well, 4 out of 5 on this road trip. This is what the doctor ordered. Logan Verrett, the hero of this game, a bullpen that was very taxed, both bullpens, with the 28 runs the Mets scored in the first 2 games. They needed a performance from their starter, and boy, they were hoping for 5 or 6 scare. Verrett, 8 strong, 4 hits, 1 run, only the solo home run to Cargo. Just a great performance.
Gave up back-to-back hits to start his game, got a couple of nice defensive plays made behind him, settled in, and gave the Mets 8 brilliant innings today for Terry Collins and a spot start for Matt Harvey. And Verrett gets his first big league win, and he got enough offensive support early as the Mets scored 5 runs in the first 3 innings. There's the game summary brought to you by Verizon Fios. Now there's a totally new way to customize your TV, only from Verizon Fios. Mets sweep the season series from the Rockies, sweep a series at Coors Field for the first time. They're now 11 over 500, matching their high water mark. More in a moment.